This is a name that strikes fear into the hearts of all those who hear it. A name whispered only in the darkest of hours when the shadows grow long and the veil between our world and the infernal realms thins. The Queen of the Devil. But who is she? Before we begin, let me ask you this: have you ever heard the name Lilith? Perhaps you've read about her in the old texts or seen her portrayed in modern fiction. Maybe you even know about her through the lore of Dungeons and Dragons. If any of these are true, then you probably know that she was said to be the first wife of Adam before Eve. And depending on which version of the story you read, she might have been cast out of Eden for refusing to bow before the serpent, for turning the other cheek when God cursed her, or perhaps because she wanted to leave Adam. Regardless of why she left, she fled the Garden of Eden and became the queen of the demons. Or did she? You see, there's some debate over whether Lilith really was the queen of the demons. In some tellings she was the consort of the great demon Lucifer, but not his equal. She was never referred to as a queen, but rather as a princess. However, if you read the Alphabet of Ben Sira, written around the year 1040 by a Jewish sage named Solomon ben Horvat, you'll find a different story. It says that the fallen angel Azazel took human form and seduced a woman named Lilith. This union produced a son named Amen, the first of the wicked generation, which means that Amen would be the grandfather of all evil spirits. Now, while this is a much darker tale than the previous one, it's still not quite what most people think of when they hear the name Lilith. That more sinister interpretation didn't come along until a few hundred years later, when the Christian writer John Milton included her in his epic poem, Paradise Lost. It's here where she really cements her reputation as the embodiment of evil, a being of pure darkness who delights in pain and suffering. According to Milton's version, Lilith refused to submit to Adam, calling him her lord, and he threw her out of the garden for her insolence. From this point forward, she lives amongst the demons and plots against God and mankind. Now, in modern times, Lilith has become something of a feminist icon. Her refusal to bend before Adam has been interpreted as a rejection of patriarchy. And some Wiccans even consider her to be a goddess rather than a demon. But regardless of how you feel about her, there's no denying that she's a prominent figure in demonology. And many people still believe that she is the queen of the demons. So who really is the queen of the devil? As it turns out, no one knows for sure. There are a lot of stories and myths surrounding this particular demon queen, but none of them can be proven true with any certainty. What we do know is that the title Queen of the Devil is often used to refer to the female demon that rules over hell, and there are a few different candidates for this position. We just don't know which one is the true ruler. The most popular candidate for the title Queen of the Devil is, of course, the infamous succubus. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, isn't a succubus just a demon that appears in human form? While that's technically true, it's only part of the story. You see, the word succubus actually means evil spirit that preys on the lustful desires of men. And while some succubi choose to appear as beautiful women, others take on the form of ugly hags or even animals. And what's more, the term succubus doesn't refer to a single demon, but an entire race of demons. So if you were to ask the question, who is the queen of the succubus? The answer would be Lilith. After all, she was the first succubus. According to legend, the original succubus was a demon named Naamah, who also happened to be the daughter of Satan himself. She was so beautiful that when God saw her, he became entranced and brought her up to live with him in heaven. But once there, Naamah began to corrupt the angels and turned them away from God. So he banished her from heaven and cast her into the lake of fire. Some say that this is where she learned her seductive ways, for what is hotter than the lake of fire? Anyway, when Naamah was cast out of heaven, she began to roam the earth, seducing men and leading them astray. Eventually, she came across the Garden of Eden and decided to make it her home. There she tempted Adam and Eve, causing them to eat from the tree of knowledge and get kicked out of the garden. It was also in the garden that she met a fallen angel named Samiel, and together they had a son named Beelzebub. Yes, that Beelzebub, the lord of the flies. Together, the three of them ruled the Garden of Eden, until God sent Michael, the archangel, to banish them and take over as the caretaker. So if Lilith is the queen of the succubi, then she would have been banished from the Garden of Eden along with Samiel and Beelzebub. And yet we know that she still rules over the succubi. Even now, this means that she likely regained her power at some point after being cast out. Another interesting thing about Lilith is that she wasn't always a demon. Originally, she was a human, or maybe she was an angel. It all depends on which version of the story you read. One of the more popular tales is that Lilith was originally a mermaid who made a deal with the devil. She wanted to be able to walk on land, so he granted her that wish, but cursed her to die if she ever looked back. Then when she heard the sound of the approaching funeral procession, she broke the deal and turned to look. Upon seeing the coffin, she was immediately killed and her body transformed into a monstrous demon. This particular myth seems to have originated in the writings of one Rabbi Elijah of Vilna, though he wasn't the first to write about Lilith as a mermaid. The idea goes all the way back to the Babylonian Talmud, but the specifics differ. There, she's described as a beautiful woman who lives in the sea. And when she hears the sound of a baby crying, she becomes overwhelmed with envy and drowns the child. Sometimes she's said to snatch them right out of their mother's arms, but other times she simply drowns the baby on purpose. In any case, this version of Lilith shows that she didn't always have evil intentions, but over time, her jealousy turned her into a murderous monster. If you think that sounds dark, just wait until I tell you about the next candidate for the Queen of the Devil. Unlike Lilith, she wasn't driven by envy, but by a desire for power. I'm of course talking about none other than Naamah, the daughter of Satan. While there are conflicting accounts as to how she became queen, one thing is certain: she ruled over hell with an iron fist. No demon dared defy her, and she was known throughout the 9 circles for her cruelty and sadism. One day, Lucifer decided that he'd had enough of Naamah's tyranny. He challenged her to a duel and slew her in battle. Now, some stories say that he took her place on the throne of hell, but others claim that the seat of the queen remained empty after her death, and so it shall remain until the end of time. And that's the story of the Queen of the Devil. Or is it? You see, the truth is that none of these stories can be considered canon. There are no official sources that provide a definitive answer as to who the Queen of the Devil really is. As I mentioned earlier, the title Queen of the Devil is often used to refer to the female demon that rules over hell, but no one knows which one it is. Lilith, Naamah, and the succubi are all popular choices, but ultimately it's up to each individual person to decide which one they believe to be the true ruler of hell. So I'll ask you, which one do you think is the Queen of the Devil? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to learn more about the Queen of the Succubi, then I've got just the thing for you. Check out this video next to uncover the secrets of this legendary demon. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.